okay, it's going to have to be like an exorbitant offer. So I don't want people to think that the Rays are just going to trade Isaac Paredes and call it good just to get him off the roster, right?
Mhm.
It's only going to be for an extraordinary haul.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name's Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
It's your boy again, Evan Closky.
And we appreciate it bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's Game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs or Carl Crawford,
we are here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 6th season covering the Rays daily.
and every season they've gone to the playoffs, hopefully again this year. So grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
This episode of Locked On Rays is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today.
All right, Evan. All-Star break over, getting back into the action again. Couple important weeks as the Rays have to decide what they're going to do with their present and future. Maybe a major trade here and there, maybe a major call-up here and there. What do you see? What will be the biggest earth-shattering move for the Rays between now and the trade deadline, you would say?
Well, I don't know what the biggest earth-shattering move will be. I do think Zach Eflin will go.
Okay.
I just think logistically it makes sense. The seller's market, not a lot of great starting pitchers out there. So pair up Eflin, who has playoff experience, who's pretty damn good, on top of the fact he's making $18 million next year. Seems like a guy you can probably extract something significant for, while also creating a spot for Jeffrey Springs, who will come up. So to me, it's a sell move, but it's actually not like you're losing a lot in the grand scheme of the present, because you actually are replacing him with a stellar option right away. So I think that one probably is the most likely. I have floated out there, and not that it's going to be very hard to pull off, but I do think according to multiple reports, the Rays are listening on offers for Isaac Paredes.
Okay.
And look, they listen to pretty much everybody. So I think that's part of Eric Mander's job, is he should be listening.
Right.
I do think there's a lot of sense to be made if they do go in that direction. But again, I say that with the caveat of, okay, it's going to have to be like an exorbitant offer. So I don't want people to think that the Rays are just going to trade Isaac Paredes and call it good just to get him off the roster, right? It's only going to be for an extraordinary haul, which he's going to be worth, considering he has like 3 more years left to control on top of being 25 years old. But only reason I say that is, A, his stock is extremely high right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Not a lot of big hitters out there, and usually teams don't want to pay a lot for rentals. Consider what the amount would be like for a man who has 3 years of team control. Theoretically, you replace him with Junior Caminero. So you got to ask yourself, how much power am I losing in this equation, replacing Caminero with Isaac? So there's a chance that you can bring in significant talent to help you, maybe not in 24, but in, let's say, 25 and beyond. Certainly reload for next year. It wouldn't be like some Florida Gulf Coast League player You know, maybe as a kick in, but not like the main pieces. So theoretically, you can add maybe one or two guys who are going to help you immediately in the future, and then you have Junior Caminero playing third base. And what did you lose power wise?
Right.
So again, just food for thought, because you know they don't. The beautiful part about the Rays is they don't have to do anything. They could do absolutely nothing.
Right.
And that's the ultimate way you want to be when you talk with teams is, look, you got to make me the strong offer. I don't have to do anything. I'm cool rolling this team into 2025 again.
I had the leverage. Right.
Right.
That's what you want.
Yeah. Outside of, they probably should get rid of Sean Armstrong. Besides the rough play, he's a free agent. So I'm sure if anybody, just like Maton, for anybody who would just take the contract, they would say, see you later. Yep. That sounds good to me. That to me, he seems like a piece that would most likely be gone at the end of the month, along with Ahmed Rosario, I'm sure is almost certain to be gone, especially because he's not good defensively.
Mm-hmm. And well, let's be honest too. I don't think you're going to get a lot for Rosario, but if you're able to salvage something, you might as well try to.
That's where you might get the Florida Gulf.
Yeah, exactly. You might get the high lottery ticket.
The Florida Coast League, not Dunk City.
Florida Complex League, I think, right?
The Florida Complex League. You're right.
Yeah. There's so much restructuring in the minor leagues. So
I'm coming off the damn MLB draft here of all my locals.
Yeah. With what you said though, with the Isaac and then you're not losing a lot of power with Caminero, which is it's a fair assessment. Like that's what we're expecting from Caminero, right? And with Civale, you translated that into Boss. You became a better team. I'm sorry. Like let's be frank. Like that now it's a better team with Boss than with Civale, and it could potentially not be a drop off. Feel like you're saying with Eflin going to Springs. Depending on how Springs comes back from surgery and from rehab. But I do have a request, and I know that none of us can do anything about it. But if Isaac is gone, boy, would it be nice to have that much value go to a bleeping catcher, Evan. I don't care who it is, but this is a huge chip that, I know it might not get you a Harry Ford. It might not get you an Adley Rutschman if Adley Rutschman was not already an MLB player. But I think the fandom would really appreciate that type of move because we sorely need it. Yeah,
as I've mentioned before, first off, Isaac would command Ford plus. So, the Mariners certainly have the prospects to make it happen. But it would be Ford and like another one of their top pieces.
Well, I mentioned it last week and I got poo-pooed. I got crapped all over by mentioning Young and Ford, and I guess that wasn't enough for Paredes. Maybe you throw in
who poo-pooed you?
Prospect.
I don't. Well, I certainly said Young and Ford wouldn't do it. It would have to be Ford. It would. I said Ford. What is the outfielder? It just they don't need Cole Young. Just it's a clunky fit right now.
I understand.
They like their. He kind of fits their like athletic guys up the middle, so on and so forth. But like they got enough of those guys. I think it would be a way. Like to me, if you were to trade Isaac, you would do it to fit some other pieces to fill in some of the other needs that you don't address through the draft or other developmental ways. Which means they have the outfielder. They have Ford, and to me, those are like, and not to mention, I think I mentioned Brash as well. I think the Rays, if they were going to trade Eflin, they're going to trade Isaac. I think that there would be a concerted effort to bring in a live arm as well to really. And I think they need another relief pitcher. Fairbanks' name is being thrown out there. I don't know how much they're willing to part with him. I'm sure if somebody made a Herculean offer, they would do it, considering that you can just bump Jason Adam into your closer spot and the return might bring you back another arm that you can throw right in there.
You don't see Jason Adam being dealt?
I don't know. I don't know why they would deal him. Like everything underneath the hood looks fantastic. He's still under team control for what, 2 more years?
Right.
I'd have to check.
I can
He-
check that. And
Basically an all-star this year, so.
He was kind of snubbed, honestly.
To me, he's through the past like handful of years, he's been the most consistent. So I mean, 2 years ago he was unreal. Last year he kind of came back down to earth a little bit, but was still very
still
darn
good.
good. Yeah. So I think that while they should be opportunistic, and I understand that like trading him at his peak value makes a lot of sense,
Right.
is a team. So
this episode of Locked On Race is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah. Summer travel is heating up. And that means that you can go to any U.S. city to watch some baseball. Maybe you want to go to Pittsburgh. Maybe you want to copy Kevin and go to Boston or Philadelphia. Why not? You can do that. And Booking.com is the greatest place where you can get hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, everything, even in your baseball rival's city. They've got hotels that look over stadiums. That would be pretty cool. And you can do that during your summer travel. So the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app today.
Baseball season is moving right along, and you can make some cash over on Prize Picks, whether it's stolen bases, home runs, or hits. Take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry. With how well some of the Rays players are doing lately, you can turn $10 into $100 with just a few taps. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is really simple to play. You can make your picks and submit your entry in under 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 fantasy app. So get in on the action with Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for up to $100 match on your first deposit. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy.
I understand the logic behind trading a Jason Adam, the logic behind trading a Randy Arozarena or a Yandy Diaz. But my worry is with those names, is the team on the other end going to give me an offer that makes sense? Like, I'm not going to just give you Randy. I'm not going to just give you Yandy. I'm not going to just give you Jason. So it's like a top 15 prospect is not getting you Jason Adam. I'm sorry. Like, if that's all you can give me, then it's a no. So it's either you're going to have to overpay for my relief pitcher who's a stud, or it's a no deal. You're going to have to overpay for Randy, or I'm good keeping him. It's just like, I'm not going to sell Randy when his stock is low. I'll just keep him, pay him next year. And if he goes on another heater, similar to what he's done in pretty much in July or in June, entering July, then I'll build up his stock again and can get way more value. So they don't, and Yandy, I think, would make a lot of sense too. But is a team really going to break the bank for Yandy Diaz, who,
and for the race, he's making really good, affordable.
I had that thought going in my head. Like, by the way, Yandy's contract is
it's super
extremely favorable
for
the Rays. They have when you have a player like Yandy for what, $10.5 million, whatever it's going to be. I might be overshooting it a little bit.
I think it's actually 8, but let me check.
Whatever it might be. Regardless, it's it's not that the Rays don't want to ever spend money. They look at it as is Yandy Diaz giving us more or less return on value? Right. And right now, that contract is a huge deal compared to what Yandy is putting forth. So why are they going to give that away when they know that their gap here is we're still making so much off of this deal? We don't have and so are you as an opposing team going to bridge that gap to show us that it makes sense for who's the replacement type player that can get us this amount of talent for this amount of money?
Right.
And for those that are not understanding that, go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Subscribe to
like exactly. But
If it's
that's
an
why
issue,
I say with like, you know, it's like it makes sense when people say I'd rather trade this person. Okay, I just don't think that a team is going to be able to convince the Rays that the deal that they're offering is worth it. I think that's why, like, you know, someone like you can really, when you have a replacement level type player, like I said with Isaac, when you can just bring up Caminero and bring in other pieces to help. Well, now you're asking yourself, is removing Isaac from the equation and adding these pieces, like, what's a better product? Is it just, you know, even though Isaac is amazing, but if I add these three players to the cauldron, is that actually a better team?
I think a lot of fans would say if Isaac goes, but we get to see Caminero now at third base every day, plus we get a good catcher, I think people would be rather fond of that. And by the way, Yandy's making $8 million this season. He makes 10 next year. And then there's a club option for 2026 for $12 million. You know, I understand that you have to trade players, at least in the Rays mentality, before they bust or before they stop performing the way that you expect and the money gets to be too big. These numbers are not big, especially because, boys, what do we always say about this team for the last 3 seasons? They don't have veteran leaders in the position player pool. They just do not. They do not have those guys. Guess what? Yandy Diaz, by the time 2026 rolls around, by the time 2027 rolls around, that's a veteran dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and not to mention, it's just what this team they need hitters. Like, it's just tough to, like, when thinking about this team competing next year, you need hitters in the lineup who can produce. And, like, you know, Randy, we can extract some questions from. You know, he's going to give you the 20 home runs probably, and so on and so forth. But, you know, there are other things. Yandy's going to get base hits. Like, he's going to hit, you know, he's going to hit around 300. And that's still a very, you know, he's a leadoff hitter, sets the table. Like, he's just a remarkable player, even though his running and fielding have kind of, they're on the decline. I mean, the running value is extremely on the decline, which is a bit concerning. But, you know, there's a larger debate going into that. I still think he's probably necessary for a team. The way that you have this team built, he's more necessary than for, like, other teams where if Yandy was on that roster, I would say, maybe a little bit more expendable. Like, the bigger debate to really talk about, fans are going to love this, because I was way out on this, and now I'm kind of creeping back in. I might be getting snookered, but I think there's a strong debate that Brandon Lau has to come back. You know, I mean, the injuries, like, it's always been like he's not returning because of the injury stuff, right? It's just like he keeps getting injured. But every time that he plays, it reminds you of how necessary they need him. Mm-hmm. Between the OPS, the power, the slug, all the stuff that they don't have. They need him. Mm-hmm. They need him. And even if it is for 80 games, 100 games, they might have to say screw it, especially
maybe he's the new Kiermaier, except he doesn't provide glove like KK did, but he just provides pop. And you know what? Maybe that's worth it.
It's looking like it might be. Like, it just, to me, at least recently, ever since he's returned, I don't know about you guys, but, like, B-Lau deserves to be in the lineup pretty much every day, outside of the occasional lefty he can sit.
Yeah.
But he is not a guy. I mean, and you saw it sort of at the end there before we hit the break that B-Lau actually did play against the lefty, and Josh Lowe said. So
and he came through.
Yeah.
Josh, but he came through.
Josh is still on the platoon side of things until the swing is right. But, you know, and everybody's saying that, you know, about Josh's splits being far worse at home than on the road. True. We need probably another year's worth of data, maybe a year and a half before we probably need to get through the end of next year before we start having the Willy Adames discussion. Yeah. So I hear you. I notice it. We're not there yet. We just aren't. We don't have a large enough sample size. And Josh's numbers still are not as bad as what Willie was doing inside the trop. I re-looked at those numbers. I forgot how bad Willie was.
Do you remember anything about the numbers? Just for fun's sake.
I don't want to like misquote the numbers. It's just the OPS, like everything was just so
reminiscent of Taylor Wall's batting average and OPS through his career. That's basically what we're dealing with.
A little bit. The OPS was a little bit better than that, but certainly average wise. But you look at sort of where this team kind of has to tinker in the future. It's shortstop until Carson Williams is ready. They got to create a spot for Caminero, and that means either what are they going to? Does that mean Yandy, Isaac, and Caminero work this 3-way rotation on the DH? And then what do you do for Meade? What do you do for some of these other pieces that are coming up? So, there's a part of me that thinks that the Rays should just trade Meade to the Mariners for Ford and just do a prospect swap. Hey, you guys don't need a catcher. You got Cal Raleigh. We don't need Meade. Let's do a need for need. And guess what? You can call up Meade tomorrow. He can play right now. So I think that would also make a lot of sense to me.
SupplyHouse is where the skilled traders go. Okay, it is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. You can get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and you can talk to a real person every time. In 2024, that is unheard of. But you know what? SupplyHouse is that kind of shop. Pros in the skilled trade can also get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free trade master program, where they get access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. And you can join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from the free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com.
All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. In this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Evan, continuing on the trade discussion front for a second, it is interesting about Brandon Lau. It's almost like he has his own market inefficiency, like Kevin Kiermaier. Get hurt enough to where you can't be traded by the Rays. Nobody else will give you what the Rays would be asking for in return for him. So that's one note there. Then going back to Eflin, there have been some rumors percolating about the Orioles. I mean, who wouldn't be interested in Zach Eflin at this point? But I would imagine that if the Rays were to deal him intra-division, i.e. Yankees or Orioles, the cost would steeply increase. I would ask for Kjerstad. Okay. All right.
I would do straight up Eflin for Kjerstad.
Hey, I'll go for it there. Yeah, it's funny because I feel like maybe this is a little bit of a wave for the Rays going forward, because I think the Eflin signing has worked out. You wish, if you're the Rays, that you were better in 2024 and really competitive, and you could use Eflin as a crutch for that, and then maybe deal him sometime in 2025. But you've gotten 1.75 years of good value from him, and now you can get some kind of decent haul, a really good haul, when a team most needs it for him. So maybe this is something we see going forward, where whether it's a position player or a pitcher, that they sign a dude to a 3-year deal with the idea that we're probably only going to keep him for a year and a half, 2 years, and then that third year rolls around, we're ready to offshoot him, so to speak.
You got to also have a player who's willing to do that. You do that move enough, no one's going to sign with you. Like, I mean, that's a big thing also with a lot of the big fish. Fans want big fish. The organization throws their hat in the ring. Who the heck wants to go to an organization that I know is going to trade me when the first second it goes south, right? Or the minute that they backload my pay and that's about to kick in. It's just, family situations, all that stuff matter. And again with Eflin, like the Rays don't have to trade Eflin. As you said, they can get to the end of this year and reassess in December and, around the winter meeting. So they have a lot of power at their abilities. SNY, Andy's Martino reported about the Yankees being interested in guys like Ahmed and Isaac and Eflin and all that stuff. And there will also be a tax on that front as well. But, I can certainly say if the Yankees have, Dominguez and Spencer Jones off the table, then Isaac is off the table. So if one of those guys ain't in that Isaac deal, then we ain't talking about it. I definitely think that Ahmed makes a lot of sense for the Yankees as a little bit of a help for them. Certainly what they're looking for, some infield depth. And, that's a deal that I think the Rays can facilitate and trade within a division and, take their 27th best prospect and call it good.
Well, he's going to have to shave. I know you two could probably be in pinstripes, but I would just say, nah, I am not shaving my beard. But you know what? What I can do? I can put on night driving and I can start to grill you guys.
Okay.
Because it's Friday. It's a fun Friday episode.
Indeed.
Baseball trivia, baby. Let's go. Okay. All-Star game just happened. Had a little fun with you guys on Thursday. Little banana peel question. Today is not that much of a banana peel. It's actually pretty simple. Since 2008, the Rays have had one lone player representing the organization 4 times, including 2024 Isaac Paredes. What were the other 3 years and the players?
Oh boy. Okay, so last year they had multiple. The year before that they had multiple. 2020 there wasn't one. So, would Longo be one? Just straight up Longo?
Incorrect. Try one.
Okay, I got one. Carl Crawford.
That was going to be my next one.
Incorrect.
Ooh.
Strike 2 because
right, easy there, Tiger.
2008.
Okay,
Since
there,
2008. Okay, we got to think of a pitcher, a reliever, something of that ilk. This isn't a guess, but I'm just ballparking it like Fernando Rodney or something like that.
I was going to say Soriano.
You can try that if you want. I'm thinking relievers.
Well, that's what I was saying. Wasn't...
Yeah, we can go with Soriano if you want to guess Soriano.
Let's go.
Because I remember a time where Rodney was the only good thing about the team. I could be mistaking it though.
Fernando Rodney. No, Soriano.
Foul tip. That was a foul tip.
Okay. All right. Give your guess.
Soriano.
That's another foul tip.
Oh my God.
We got to get one here. Oh my gosh.
I'm
about to say Jeremy Hellickson or something like that. David Price. David Price made how many All-Star appearances? I'd imagine. Maybe we need to think about guys that made multiple All-Star appearances in a Devil Rays uniform or Rays uniform. And we're just trying to...
I'm going to help you out.
Okay, we must be way off.
Because you already are on strike 4. David Price is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Now, do you want to just for funsies, do you want to guess the year? I remember, these are bad years for the Rays, right? Because if you're doing hot, you can't be having multiple players go to the All-Star game. So
2014?
Correct. The year he got traded, David Price was the lone Rays star, which is so depressing.
Like a Ben Zobrist to be no, okay.
All right, you got to give us this list because we are stumped.
Yeah, screw it. This is a weird question. I feel like
it's pretty simple. Okay, my bad. 2014, the Rays were awful. David Price is the only guy. 2016, the Rays were even awfuler. Alex Colomé was the Rays representative. And Evan, 2022, the Rays were not awful, but close to it. Shane McClanahan, who did start the All-Star game.
I totally skipped over LA. I went from that's a terrible mistake by me.
Yeah,
I went from Seattle to what was it? Was it Colorado when Zunino hit it?
I think
Colorado.
Yeah.
I totally skipped over LA.
It happens. You know, when Night Drive hits you, it's a different ballgame. People don't get that in the YouTube comments. Night Drive gets you.
Yeah. Well, I'll take an hate mail for missing this question wildly. Swing and a miss.
What about you?
I got one.
You got one.
Helped you out.
I had a dribbler. I had a swinging bunt. I pulled a Curtis Mead. I made contact.
That was terrible.
All right. Well,
absolutely awful.
Yeah. Hopefully you all do better and name that war. And am I correct in presuming that the Rays play the Yankees this weekend?
Correct. Yes, you are correct.
Okay.
Friday.
This guy played for the Yankees for a very long time. His name is Bernie Williams. What is his career baseball reference WAR?
This is gonna be a high number. This is gonna be like high. It's gonna be like borderline, like should we be debating Hall of Fame? Like
yeah. I know every Yankee fan would probably say that he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I think he does have a case. But okay, anyway, let's talk about it, Evan. How many years? Probably like 15.
Yeah, that's kind of like that was the number in my head. Just a nice round number.
I feel like Bernie Williams, let me just say this. I think he was underrated, believe it or not, even as a Yankee, just because of all the other stars that were surrounding that organization at the time.
He was there. Absolutely. No, he was great. I mean, he had a very good glove.
Yes.
So that's got to be a factor. He had speed.
Occasional pop.
Yeah.
Occasional people. Occasional.
I'm going to go. I'm not even, write down. I'm going to go like 48.7.
Okay. 48.7 is your guess.
Wow. Okay. That was pretty high. Let's say out of the 15 years that he played, 8 years, he was like a 4 WAR player. That gets you 32. And then the next 7, he was 14. That would give you 46, which is close to Closky. Gonna go with 46 WAR.
46 for Ulises. So Bernie Williams played 16 years in the bigs, 1991 to 2006, all with the New York Yankees. He was a 5-time All-Star, a 4-time World Series champion, a 4-time Gold Glover, 297 hitter, 2,336 hits, occasional pop, like Ulises mentioned. That would be correct. 1 year he hit 30 homers. The other, he mainly hovered between 18 to 22 to 26. A lot of doubles, some stolen bases. Good mix. What else do I have here? Career OPS of 858, OPS plus 125. His baseball reference WAR, I'm also looking here. He only struck out more than 100 times one season. Is not 48.7, not 46, but 49.6. Very, very close. Less than a point off for Evan, but still very excellent guess by Ulises as well.
Very good. Very good. We were right on it, Evan. How about that?
That one was as I might have had the old sombrero there last game, but I came right back today. I got a couple of knocks, a little RBI double.
It was nice. It feels good. It feels good to go back to the locker room like that. Evan, how can people find your amazing work?
Head to the X at Closky WTSP. I'm always doing some Rays rambling there, and especially with the all the drop news and the trade deadline coming up. We're going to be very active on that account. We'll be active on 10 Tampa Bay, on our free 10 Tampa Bay app. And, man, next week we got Buccaneers training camp beginning. So things are going to be picking up in the sports department. The offseason's coming to a close for us.
Sounds like fun.
Very good. Yeah, I'm just looking at Bernie Williams. Yeah, a lot of accolades. He had some chompers on him, too. His teeth could cut through some steel.
Oh, I knew Bernie doesn't get enough respect, so I knew that he was going to get enough from me.
Yeah.
I almost went like 51 too, and I curled it back.
51, wasn't that his number?
Maybe that was that his number? Maybe that's why it automatically popped in my head.
Yeah.
That was pretty good if it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. If he finished it, number 51 retired by the Yankees. So if he got 51 more, maybe that's on Fangraphs. I don't know. He was also in an episode of Seinfeld, so that's bonus points there.
That's true.
Bonus points.
That's true.
100%.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that's a plus 1.2.
What are you talking about? We won the World Series in 6 games.
market inefficiency. Hire George Costanza as a hitting coach.
100%.
Or assistant traveling secretary, whatever it is. All right. Thank you, Evan. We appreciate it. That will wrap up this edition of Locked On Rays. Thanks as always for making us your first listen every day. Every day is coming up on the next Locked On Rays podcast. That'll be Monday. We'll be talking about the Rays and Yankees. Hopefully the Rays take 2 of 3, win another series, or better yet, maybe they get a sweep there. So stay tuned for that.